Hi, I'm Jason Inman.
And I'm Ashley Victoria Robinson.
And we're here to give you a full spoiler review of Solo, a Star Wars story. That's right, if you have not seen Solo, a Star Wars story, I would stop watching this video right now because we're going to go full out spoilers.
But come back later.
We also have a non-spoiler review if you want to check that out in case you don't want to get spoiled. But don't watch this if you haven't seen Solo. It's wrong. It's bad.
It's not bad.
All right, Ashley, let's sort of just work our way through the movie.
Okay.
We begin this movie, we're on Corellia.
Mm-hmm.
We have met Kira, who is played by Khaleesi herself.
Amelia Clark.
And we see Aiden Kakawash, however you say his last name. I don't know how to say it. It sounds like Sabak. I don't know how to say it. And there's sort of, thieves in Oliver's company. Sort of that...
It's like, what if Aladdin met Oliver but Star Wars, though?
Yeah.
For like 2 minutes?
But right out of the gate, they are thieves. They're stealing stuff. Han Solo has failed at a mission. Han Solo fails a lot at this movie, and then
arguably at every turn.
Yeah, and then we get a very silly scene where this giant worm comes out of the water and makes fun of Han Solo because Han Solo tries to bluff this person with a rock instead of a thermal detonator.
Missed opportunity to not make a spice must flow joke, though. I will say with the giant worm, missed opportunity.
Yeah. So we have this whole Corellia bit, this whole intro to Corellia, and then the movie jumps 3 years, and there's a lot of important stuff in there that I'm not talking about. I almost felt that this intro was very unnecessary. What do you think about it?
It was a mess. It was a complete mess. It was a series of scenes. It was the Star Wars fan fiction that I would have written when I was 11, running around my backyard being like, and now we're going to fly down the tunnel, and now we're going to throw this rock. Again, it's my problem with most of this movie is exemplified by this opening sequence. None of it tells us anything about Han Solo we didn't know. None of it explores the world in an interesting, compelling, or larger way. None of it impacts the larger mythos of the franchise. So what is the point?
Yeah.
And it wasn't even cut together well, which leads me to believe, and we talked a little bit about this, that this was the part that, is it Lord Miller?
Lord Miller.
That they had started on before they left the project.
Yes.
And that the rest of it, because the rest of it has a very clean, classic Ron Howard look. Truly the only thing I liked about this, I thought Amelia Clark's hair looked really cute.
Sure. But the one thing we got to talk about is that Solo, a Star Wars movie, starts off with all these close-ups of the dice. The dice from the Millennium Falcon.
Who cares?
They cut to this dice probably 25 times in this entire movie, kind of making you think that Star Wars is nothing but Han Solo's dice. Which I thought really got in the way of the storytelling, that they're constantly telling us about this dice. And they're showing us that he puts it in the little land speeder. He puts it over here. Guess what? When he finally gets the Millennium Falcon, he doesn't hang up the dice. Where the hell are the dice?
Yeah, he gives it to Kira. She gives it back. To me...
He gets it back at the very end, yeah.
To me, no, she gives it back to him when he's handcuffed. When they go into the
And that's the last time we see it.
Planet. Yeah. But so she gives it back to him. But to me... this kind of denigrates, these dice are sort of this talisman that's supposed to represent Han and Leia's connection. And if he's just giving this to any old chickie who comes along who makes out with him in a closet, really gross kissing sounds.
Well, I'm going to say
cool.
the dice is...
So they're meaningless.
The dice to me are almost a retcon because...
They're 1,000%. They only did the dice because we saw them in Last Jedi.
Yes, because we barely see them in the original trilogy. We barely see them. And so it's a factor of the matter that, it's because Last Jedi made them a thing. Now we're so focused on these dice. All right, let's talk about the cast overall. Donald Glover is the big, I think, front runner for the best actor in this movie.
Yeah.
But his Lando is nothing we haven't... It kind of comes off as a parody of Lando, in my opinion. Now, he does a great job, and there's a lot of funny jokes, but he kind of almost seems like the Saturday Night Live parody of Lando.
My issue
with so many capes and stuff
with
like that.
him as Lando. First of all, I liked his costumes a lot.
Costume design of Lando is great.
Yellow. Costume design, I think, across the board was good in this movie.
The design of the fancy Lando-ish Millennium Falcon with all the yellow, I actually liked.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah.
Han done did bad things to the Millennium Falcon. He shouldn't
He was very
own
dirty. Never
nice
cleaned it.
things. But to me, I think the Lando part in this movie suffered because they had to make Lando kind of stupid, and they had to make him kind of subservient to Han,
Mm-hmm.
even though Lando's been in the game longer, Lando's smarter.
He's called the best
Lando,
smuggler ever at one point in the
has
movie.
a reputation. Lando has contacts. Lando has a ship. Lando has a crew. Lando has weapons. And it's the same thing with Kira, and it's the same thing with Beckett. Kira's smarter. Kira's been around the block. Kira has an army. Kira's a spy. Kira's a better fighter. Like, everyone is better than Han Solo in this movie. But he's like, suck us, I'm the mediocre white guy lead. And so he's the one who ultimately gets the title, even though he's truly the least interesting of this cast of characters and the least capable actor on set.
Well, it's also the thing that we know all the moments. We've seen these moments. Like, we know he gets the Millennium Falcon. We know he wins in a card game. We know he does the Kessel Run. Guess what? We see all those in the movie. We've already been told about all those in the movie. We don't care. Another thing that I think that was really forced upon us is L3, Lando's droid. Now, L3, every one of these Star Wars movies keeps trying to top themselves with the new droid. We had it with BB-8. We had it with K2SO.
I mean, at least BB-8 has lasted for more than one movie.
Sure. But this droid, now they make her, as the first female droid that we've ever seen as a main character, and they make her obsessed with droid rights. Like, most of the movie, she goes on a droid rights, and when they go to Kessel and they get the spice, she almost screws the entire plan up because she frees all the droids, and she gets herself killed because she's like, the droids, and to be honest with you, her death, they really try to, like, hit this moment home that, like, she dies. But the problem is that she is this droid that's all about rights and freedom for the droids. And then they take her brain apart, they plug her into the Millennium Falcon so that she becomes...
They make her a slave.
They make her the Millennium Falcon's computer, and we've seen... There is a line in Empire Strikes Back where C-3PO says, I don't know where your computer learned how to talk to other machines, but it is very unique. And so we're like, oh, that's L3. But yeah, L3 becomes a slave that is never mentioned ever again.
I have three main issues with this character. L3 is a terrible character. First of all, L3-37, you named her Leet. What?
I don't understand that reference. I'm dumb.
Leet is, it's Haxor Master Internet type where you use numbers in place of letters. It was like a really popular thing on 4chan for a while.
Cool. I'm old.
I think it's
I'm unhip.
I think it's pandering, and I think it's pandering to who they think one of their lower common denominator is, so I don't like it for that reason. I like the idea of a droid who is self-aware and who has kind of these social tendencies and who the joke about the restraining bolts is like actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
I don't like that it's played for laughs.
I like seeing all the bonk droids. The little bonks are like bonk, bonk. We had a lot of bonk droid cameos, and my friends, that's a plus for me.
Jason is pro bonk droid.
I am pro bonk droid. You give me bonk droids all day, I want to see Bonk a solo story.
Great, I'd watch
Bonk
that.
a Star Wars story.
But we had an opportunity to address the weird class system that exists in Star Wars with humanoids and droids.
Yeah, because droids are slaves.
And instead of doing it, we just were like, yuck, yuck, yuck. Isn't she funny? She's a lady. You can't take her seriously. And then you kill her. You kill the first female droid that's ever been the lead of a movie. So to me, you've taken 3 shots at this character.
Yeah.
Could have been impactful. You could have really said something with her. But because this is Han Solo, ain't it all just funny, though?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not. It's not funny.
I would say, like, overall with this movie, again, it's a lot of things of, like, beats and stuff that we already know. Like, we counter, where Han Solo counters this, like, Boba Fett type-ish character who's the other gang who we find out basically is going to start the resistance. And that's an interesting idea, but it's kind of the same idea we've already seen repeated in A New Hope, where Luke tries to do the same thing. And I kind of felt like I was like, we're just repeating this beat here where Luke is trying to get him to go. And it's like, well, we definitely know he's not going to do it now because he doesn't do it for Luke 10 years later.
Well, and then we have to have that completely nonsense scene with Kira where she's like, I know that you're the good guy. And he's like, I'm not a good guy.
And he says, I'm an outlaw. I'm a flyer. I'm a pilot. That's my solo Aiden impression.
Aiden Christensen, whatever your name is.
Aiden Christensen.
I don't know what your name is.
Yep.
Did nobody on set tell you to speak out of vocal fry? That's bad for your throat. You're going to get nodes.
Yeah.
That requires surgery. Don't do that to yourself, sweetie.
So, Ashley, let's talk about this. Let's talk about, in this movie, we finally get to see how Chewbacca met Han Solo. Han Solo speaks Wookiee-ish, or Wookiee, whatever it is, out loud, which I thought was kind of a very silly moment.
Terrible choice.
But I did like the idea of trying to sell Chewbacca as this sort of Rancor type beast in the pit. Like the soldiers call him
the Beast.
The Beast. And one of those stormtroopers on top of the pit actually is Steve Blumvox, who is a Clone Wars actor, which I recognize his voice, which is very cool.
Oh, that's cool.
He's Zeb from Star Wars Rebels.
There you go.
He's one of those, I bet $5.
Oh,
that that's him.
Oh, that's cool. Good for you.
So, to be honest with you, I liked that beat where I liked that moment of Chewie and Han and that they have to fake a fight to get out of the pit. I thought that was a really good moment. I really liked it. But I thought that for the rest of the movie, Chewie kind of just follows Han Solo around. At one point,
he's a dog.
He finds another Wookiee with really bad makeup.
Yeah, I guess they could only afford one Wookiee mask.
Yeah, and Chewbacca doesn't go with the Wookiee. I guess the idea is that we're supposed to get is that Wookiee is a woman Wookiee, but it's never really clear. But throughout Star Wars lore, we've always heard this idea that Chewbacca owes Han Solo a life debt. And I kind of wish that had been brought up. It's kind of completely skipped over.
Well, that's considered Legends canon, Jason. That's not real canon
I'm
anymore.
sorry. I kind of prefer it.
Yes. And in that same canon, Han actually saves Chewie from being tortured by the Imperials,
family,
which is what gets him kicked out of the Imperial Army. I didn't mind the scene in Conflict where they kind of had to fight, and then he threw Han out of the pit. But knowing what the old Legends continuity was, I just think it's a less powerful choice overall.
Agreed. I will say that there's a battle scene in this movie where we're actually in the war scene and you see Han as a soldier, as an infantryman. I thought that was very well shot. I thought it was really good. I thought the cinematography was great in that scene. And I really think, I love these moments where we actually get to see the hell of Star Wars because it's a giant war. We don't really see that in the episodes. Ashley, let's talk about the Red Circle. They are the main villains of this movie. Paul Bettany is the big villain. Emilia Clarke, we eventually find out, is a villain.
Is secretly the villain.
Paul Bettany.
Wasted.
Great actor, but he kind of seemed like he was surfer dude in this movie. He was very casual. He's very colloquial. I know for a fact that Paul Bettany is a Ron Howard because Paul Bettany is so many Ron Howard movies.
Well, he's also Marvel.
Yeah.
Like he's in.
I guarantee you, he was brought into this movie, and those parts were all filmed when Ron Howard was brought in. I bet you that
That's
character
why it only takes place in 2 rooms.
I bet you that character did not exist before Ron Howard came onto this movie. Not a very threatening villain. I also don't like the idea that this villain has to have... We get 2 villains in this movie. Ron Howard and then also the character...
Not Ron Howard.
Oh, excuse me.
Paul Bettany.
Paul Bettany. And then we also get the weird character of... I don't know. The weird silver character, If Shifra. I can't even pronounce half their damn names. They both have like these energy sort of lightsaber light weapons.
Oh yeah, like the one Stormtrooper had in Force Awakens.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't like it when they give other characters. What did you think of Paul Bettany? What did you think of the reveal that Emilia Clarke turned against Han Solo and now she's the true villain?
Paul Bettany was wasted in this movie. Paul Bettany's a tremendous actor. Even his vision. He has a larger depth of performance, and there's more demanded of him than there was in this movie. He was a waste. I like him a lot, so I'm happy he got a paycheck. Good for him. I don't care about Emilia Clarke's character. She should have died in this movie. I don't care that she's the bad guy. The reveal that she facilitates at the end was truly the only interesting thing about this movie, so I guess yay for that. I didn't care. I saw it coming a mile away because literally every character told us, including her, that she was going to betray him.
Even the Beckett reveal, the Beckett twist where Beckett betrayed Solo at the very end was, it was like I knew every character in this movie was going to betray
Chewie,
every character. Yeah, except for Chewie because, Beckett and even Emilia Clarke both tell Solo, like, you can't trust anybody, kid.
Yeah.
So, one thing I liked in this movie, but I think is very problematic, is the appearance and the surprise of Darth Maul. Now, I think if you only watch the movies, you're going to be very confused by this. If you watch Star Wars Rebel and Star Wars Clone Wars, the animated series, they're great. They're fantastic. If you haven't watched them, please watch them. They're awesome. You're going to understand what's going on with Darth Maul. But I think if you only see the movie, you're going to be very confused. I actually recognize the voice. I don't know for certain, but it sounds like Sam Witwer.
Oh, look it up.
Who I doubt you can find that on the internet right now. But Sam Witwer voices Darth Maul in Star Wars Rebels and Star Wars Clone Wars, and it sounded like Darth Maul, but it was Ray Park, the original actor from Episode 1, and we had to see his new double-sided lightsaber, which I think is really cool. It was a nice twist. It was really surprising. Again, this was the big surprising moment of the movie, I thought. All right, so Ashley, I want to go straight into rating unless there's anything else in this movie you want to talk about. I guarantee you're not going to find it on the internet because they're not going to spoil it.
No, I'm surprised because IMDb
they're not gonna spoil
will
it.
often spoil things.
We are pre-recording this before the movie is released. I guarantee you it's not on the internet right now.
No.
Ashley, okay, let's go as a scale of 1 to 5. Unless there's anything else about Solo you want to talk about, anything you think we left out?
No.
Yeah, okay. A lot of walking shots, right? Through deserts? Yeah, too many walking shots. All right,
Lord of the
Ashley,
Rings did those shots better.
Scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the best, what would you give Solo a Star Wars story?
I'd give it a 0.5.
Whoa, really? All right, now real quick, I'm to balance your scale out here.
I think
where would you
Solo,
give Episode
a
1?
Star Wars story, is the worst Star Wars movie that's been made. I do. Because even for the flaws of all the prequels, at least they open up the world. They teach us things about the characters. They show us new places. They change power dynamics. This is nothing we didn't know before. This is a waste. This is $1 billion waste of people's efforts, people's talents, people's time, and
They
people's...
didn't spend $1 billion on this movie.
Whatever. I don't know. I'm saying, but after marketing and
maybe a $500 million.
Whatever. Lots of money. It's a waste. And even if you wanted to keep all that effort, all that time, all that money in the Star Wars universe, it could have been funneled better. This movie does not deserve to exist. It does not deserve the trilogy that it will inevitably get, and it was a waste of my time to watch. I will never watch it again. I would encourage people not to waste their time watching it, but if you're watching this review, you've probably already watched it.
You've seen the movie.
Unfortunately. I would give it a 0.5. It's a movie that doesn't deserve to have existed in the first place. How about you?
You're very correct about this is a very unnecessary movie. Again, I understand the points of, like, there is a good Solo movie out there. If you tell me, like, let's make a Han Solo movie, I'd be like, great, cool. It's going to be about him working for Jabba the Hutt, and he's going to be chased by Boba Fett the entire movie, right?
With Lando.
And Lando's there, right? And
No.
This movie was none of that. This movie replaced all these exciting Star Wars characters that we already know about, and gives us lesser, unexciting, boring versions of those characters. Like, we get a Jabba the Hutt, it's Paul Bettany.
Yeah.
He's very boring, and he eats clawfish in the middle of the movie. We get a Boba Fett, that's Ifash Bishibash, and we find out that she's actually
cute,
a girl.
though.
I like the twist that she's a woman. That was great. But she's part of the Resistance. We get a Greedo. It's Beckett.
Yeah.
I did like the moment where Han shot him first.
Yeah, I did.
Although they're missing a piece of dialogue in there where he was just like, the last lesson is always shoot
I couldn't
first.
believe that of all the dumb references to lines that we didn't need references, we didn't get always shoot first.
Yeah. You are correct. This is a very unnecessary movie. That being said, there are good elements to this movie. There are some great cinematography. There are some great shots. Donald Glover as Lando is pretty good. And again, it just proves that we need a Lando movie. We probably should have had a Lando movie instead of this movie, to be honest with you.
That would have been a pretty big risk for Disney,
but
though.
there is nothing in this movie that is Jar Jar Binks bad. There's nothing in this movie that is Jar Jar Binks. This movie is mediocre. This movie is forgettable. This movie is boring. It's not Jar Jar bad. Unwatchable bad. I would put this movie above Episode 1 and Episode 2. It's not above Episode 3 because Ewan McGregor in that movie is fantastic. And there's a lot of special effects in Episode 3 that are great. I would give Solo, a Star Wars movie, a 2 out of 5. It's just plain mediocre. I mean, watch it once, but no one's ever going to call it their favorite Star Wars movie. And I think that, for me, Solo, a Star Wars movie, says to me that I want no more Star Wars stories. I want none of them. I don't need them. Or if you're going to do them...
Do them about the Jedi!
Do them
For
about...
God's sake, put a Jedi in it!
Do them about things that we have not heard about. Show us Rogue Squadron capturing Coruscant after Return of the Jedi. Go to the past and show us the first Jedi-Sith War. Go 200 years past The Force Awakens and show us the great-great-great-great-grandchild of Poe Dameron. Do stuff like that. Show us new horizons, new worlds, and galaxies far, far away. Stop showing us crap that we've already seen. At this point, the next Star Wars story is gonna be Max Rebo Band, and we're gonna see how they get invited into Jabba the Hutt's palace. Who gives a good goddamn? I don't, and I don't want to see that Star Wars story. I mean, do you really care to see Jar Jar, a Star Wars silly, to learn how he got kicked out of the Gungan city? We don't care.
I mean, I'm going to be honest, at this point, with my experience with the Star Wars stories, there's like 2 things you could do that would make me remotely interested in them going forward, and they won't do them.
Oh, what are they? I want to hear them.
Ahsoka.
Ooh.
This is the perfect
Ahsoka, a Star Wars story. It's a great title.
Show me where she was in between the 2 television series.
In between Clone Wars and Rebels?
Yeah, where she kind of like leveled up and
when she
settled
became
into this...
Fulcrum.
Yeah, like we deserve a live action Ahsoka, and if you're going to stay in prequel time, show me that stuff.
Yeah.
Don't show me
What's your other one? I want to hear
BS like this. I would want something way Old Republic, really mystical when the 2 religions...
Legends of the or Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, when the 2 religions were like forming, and when it meant something more than just lightsaber tricks.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 things that I want, and I think we're just gonna get Yoda and Boba Fett and Solo too. Like, we're just gonna get all the recycled things that people have been saying they wanted online since the internet was a thing.
I want the Boba Fett movie.
That's Boba Fett.
But I want it as the bounty. It's all the bounty hunters that we saw in Empire Strikes Back. I want that movie. One of them got name checked in this movie.
I was gonna say, I'll tell you something I liked about Solo. They name checked Bosk.
They also name checked, by the way, Arun Singh, who is a purely white woman who we see in one shot of episode 1, who we see in Clone Wars, and they say that Beckett killed her. There's a lot of deep cut references. The other Star Wars story that I want Kenobi. Mm-hmm. You have Ewan McGregor. Do it. We have a living Obi-Wan Kenobi. Give me Kenobi. I actually hope that I want Kenobi, and then don't make any more Star Wars stories, would be my opinion. But I know we kind of digressed, went off the trail. It's all good. Go down in the comments, tell us what you thought about Solo, a Star Wars story. If you liked it, cool. Great. We just didn't enjoy it, whatever. But if you like this video, please click subscribe.
And for more exclusive geeky content, check out patreon.com/Jawiin. Come join us and be a super friend in the Hall of Justice.
Stick around the channel. We got lots of nerdy videos, and I think you might like them. Thanks for watching.